Good evening. My name is Mayor Scott Fogel. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's West Milton Village Council meeting. Today is April 11th, 2017 at 7:30. If we could have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Robbie Scott from the Hoffman United Methodist Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. For all those who have given up something for Lent, Easter is coming. It's coming soon. Let us pray. We thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for the change in the weather, even if it's amidst the changes in the weather. We ask, Lord, you just be with all of us. We thank you for the country we get to live in. We thank you for this community we get to live in. We thank you for our leaders, and we ask you to bless them as they are seeing about our community, working with all generations for the betterment of our citizens, for the betterment of our businesses. Bless them, Lord, as they make decisions for the sake of future citizens and future businesses. Give them wisdom in the directions they go. Give us grace as we learn in new territory. Be with all that is shared in this meeting, that not only will it help West Milton and beyond, but that it will honor you as well. We ask your blessings. We ask your presence with us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Fogel?
Here.
Hurst? Here. Kopp? Here. Miller? Here. Grudich? Here. Dorman?
Here.
And Tinnerman.
Here.
Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is a motion to excuse absent council members. I believe we need to entertain a motion to excuse council member Sarah Kopp from the 4 April 17 special meeting last Tuesday.
Mr. Mayor, I make motion. Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst?
Yes.
Kopp? Abstain. Miller?
Yes.
Grudich? Yes. Dorman?
Yes.
Tinnerman?
Yes.
And Mayor Fogel?
Yes. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have council meeting minutes from March 14th, 2017, council workshop minutes from March 28th, 2017, and the special council meeting minutes from April the 4th, 2017. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve minutes.
Make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst?
Yes.
Kopp?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Grudich?
Yes.
Dorman?
Yes.
Tinnerman?
Yes.
And Mayor Fogel?
Yes. Next on the agenda is correspondence to council. And I believe we have, and Manager Klein just stepped out. So we have correspondence to council from the Miami County Auditor, and that's for renewal of farmland, which is within the village limits. So Manager Klein, perfect timing, and we'll turn things over to you.
I left that on my desk, I apologize. We do have a renewal for farmland zoning district from the county auditor's office. It's the Sue Rader property, which is outside of town on South J. However, of the 115 acres, there are approximately 4 acres within the city limits. I recall council doing this back in 2012. And I think I might have made a note that if memory serves correctly, I'm expecting a third, which we have not yet received. But
Right.
If memory serves correctly, we actually did 3 of these back in 2012. They are for 5 years. It's still farmland, it's still farm. So it does take council, a voice vote to recognize and allow for the renewal of farmland in an agricultural district within the village limits of West Milton.
And what's the address for?
5636 South J. I'm sorry, 5536 South J.
Okay. Council, I'd like to entertain a motion for the renewal of farmland at 5536 South J Street.
I move that we accept the land.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Hurst?
Yes.
Kopp?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Grudich?
Yes.
Dorman?
Yes.
Tinnerman?
Yes.
And Fogel?
Yes, ma'am. All right, next on the agenda is comments from citizens regarding tonight's legislation. We have two pieces of legislation, the ordinance amending the loud noise ordinance and a resolution commending Wertz's Variety Store. Any comments in reference to tonight's legislation? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to ordinances and resolutions. First one is CM-17-08, an ordinance amending Ordinance 11209, loud noises. Ms. Brosh.
Thank you. It's an ordinance amending section 112.09 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances. Whereas the traditional sounds of summer include the jingle songs from trucks with frozen treats, and whereas it is the desire of council to help create childhood memories by amending section 112.09 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances regarding loud noises and speaking devices, in order to modify the restrictions for peddlers who choose to use sound devices within the village. And whereas I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the language contained in Section 112.09 of the West Milton Code of Ordinances is hereby amended as follows. Section 112.09, loud noises and speaking devices. No peddler or any person in his or her behalf shall shout, make any cry out, blow a horn, ring a bell, or use any sound device, including any loud-speaking radio or sound amplifying system, upon any of the streets, alleys, parks, or other public places of the municipality, or on any private premises in the municipality, where sound of sufficient volume is emitted or produced therefrom to be capable of being plainly heard at a distance of 75 feet from the source of the sound. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect immediately upon its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Brosh. Manager Klein, any comments?
As we discussed at the last workshop, well, actually, the mayor brought this up to us several months ago, that technically speaking, the words "at a distance of 75 feet from the source of the sound" was not included in our ordinance, and basically didn't allow technically an ice cream truck or a frozen treat truck to be allowed on the streets. We researched it. We looked at City of Union's, City of Troy's, and
Piqua.
And City of
I think it was Piqua, wasn't it?
Piqua.
Yeah.
And City of Troy's was the closest to ours, but theirs included at a distance of 75 feet from the source of the sound. So this will allow for frozen treat trucks to be permitted on the streets of West Milton this summer.
And that's the first reading, right?
First reading.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is CM 17-09, a resolution commending Wertz's Variety Store. And what we would like to do now is we would like to recognize and honor Wertz's Variety Store for 90 continuous years of service to the West Milton community. We did this 2 months ago for Patterson's Florist here in town because they also celebrated 90 years in business last year. So this is a huge accomplishment and a great thing to recognize the family as well. So we are going to read this resolution and then ask the family to stand up here and take a couple pictures with the framed resolution that you can keep and display. So what we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to read this amongst all of us council members. So each of us will take a part of this and we'll each read a section. So, Resolution CM 17-01, a resolution commending and thanking Wertz's Variety Store for 90 continuous years of serving the community of West Milton. Whereas H.L. Wertz Sr. opened the Wertz Five and Dime Variety Store in 1927, and
Whereas the Wertz Variety Store has been in continuous operation through 4 generations of the Wertz family, including H.L. Bud Wertz Jr., K. Wertz, and Georgia Wertz, and
Whereas the Wertz Variety Store with its creaky wooden floor has served thousands of people through the Great Depression and 2 world wars, and
Whereas the Wertz Variety Store has outlasted and survived the rise of the large discount stores, the suburban shopping mall, the creation of the credit debit card, and the electronic U-scan device among the technological advances, and the World War V and dime by 20 years, and
Whereas it has done so through hard work, perseverance, dedication, and a commitment for personal family service, and
Whereas the Words Variety Store is an Americana as apple pie, hot dogs, and baseball. And
If we don't have it, we will try to get it, and if you don't see it, ask. Still ring as true today as it has for 90 years.
Now therefore it be it resolved by the Council of the Municipality of West Milton, Ohio, that Section 1, the Council of West Milton hereby recognizes, congratulates, and thanks the Wirtz Variety Store and the entire Wirtz family for 90 years of continuous operations within the municipality of West Milton. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect and be in full force on and after its adoption. I'd like to now entertain a motion for Resolution CM 17-01.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hurst,
Yes.
Cott. Yes. Miller,
Yes.
Grudich,
Yes.
Dorman,
yes.
Tennerman,
Yes.
and Mayor Fogel.
Yes. If we could have the Wirtz family stand up front here, we'd like to present the
Georgia, did you prepare a speech? No, I didn't. You were supposed to.
Oh, Wes will talk. Wes talks, you'll be here all night.
We're gonna hold this together.
Can we trade this in for a tip?
Two.
One, two, three. When I get a couple. 1, 2, 3.
That was good.
Got it. All right, great. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
We love
Yeah,
your
thank you.
store.
Both of them.
Yes.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. All right, that was very nice. All right, next on the agenda is Municipal Manager Klein. Your report, please.
Mayor and council, thank you. Guests, welcome. Only a few items for this evening. First, a little bit of an update on the aggregation issue. It appears there's been some confusion regarding the communication of the aggregation issue. First, everyone should have received a letter explaining the electric side of things in their April water bill. In short, those who were participating in the community savings program through DP&L Energy were given a notice that they'll be automatically renewed in May unless they call and refuse the service. They then need to call Dinergy at the 800 number, which was listed in the letter. So that was unbeknownst to us that there was an automatic renewal on the community savings program. That was something that was created a few years back. If you read that, if you're on the program and you read that, I received a notification as well. I believe their renewal rate's around 6.6 cents per kilowatt hour. Our aggregation rate is at 5.29 cents, so it's a significant savings. So as it was spelled out in that letter and what we've tried to spell out in the letter that went out in April, you want to call, it's up to you, it's your choice. But if you want to call, if you want to join Dinergy, then you need to call DP&L Energy to not allow the renewal, and then call Dinergy to be on the program. Everybody that wasn't part of the program automatically received a postcard from Dinergy. Just as you would have received, I would assume most have received, I know I've received a postcard about natural gas from, I believe it's Constellation. You haven't received one? So that means you're currently on a gas program of some sort. So, we can get that information out. We're gonna have to get that information out probably via Facebook and webpage to let people know.
I want to get on.
Constellation.
Yeah.
I'm not on a gas program, so I automatically got,
Veteran said it's on one. We didn't have a choice.
okay. So if you haven't received a postcard, look at our Facebook page and we'll have the Constellation phone number up as tomorrow. We never created, we created a community savings program a few years ago on electric, but we've never done anything from a city side on gas. So if you're currently on a program, then you're gonna have to look for communication as to who you're on and find out when you're going to be eligible for Constellation.
So everyone in the community that has natural gas within the community that lives here in the village will receive that postcard.
Well, everyone who's not on a current program will.
So
If you're on a current program, which lasts however long your program is.
then it's up to you to,
It's up to you.
so we need to try to get that out to, I mean, en masse as much as we can. Is there any way to maybe also publicize it in the paper?
I can ask,
Yeah.
for clarification from Cecilia.
And post it on the board out front and WMPA, because, I mean, we've got to reach a lot of people to get that out. We
I'm
don't
not-
have any way of doing a one call or anything like that, right?
I'm not on a current gas program. Ben, he received the same postcard as I did. He's not on a gas program, so
You don't have gas heat?
I have gas heat, yes. But I never signed up for a program through a company.
I haven't signed up for anything either, but Vectren automatically put us over with some stupid outfit, and we didn't have a choice.
Well,
That I,
one thing, if I can bring up, there's no deadline for joining the aggregation program. So there's not you can come and go on either the electric or the gas program.
That's right.
As you choose. So don't feel as though if it takes you a month to find that information, that you're missing out on anything.
There's no
Yeah, and
fees
the gas
involved with
rates are
switching
really
either.
low.
yeah, the gas rates are competitive, so to speak, but I actually talked to a gentleman last week who is on a program, and his gas rate is actually less than our aggregation rate. So you'd want to check to see what program you're currently on and check, okay?
But with the electric, no matter what, you have to call Dinergy to,
As long as you're on the community savings program, then you have to call.
You have to call
To
them.
get signed
Okay.
up.
Or a program from another, DPL Energy is not the only program.
It's not the only
you may be
program.
on.
right,
Right.
okay. Makes sense. Thank you for the clarification.
As you recall, last couple weeks ago, we did have an auction of old equipment. I just wanted to update you on that. It appears it was a success. We sold every item but one, which helped to clean up things quite a bit. And on top of all that, I believe we raised over $850, which will just go into the general fund. We'd like to thank everybody for participating in the program, even those who didn't win a bid.
That was a little bit too frugal. Go figure.
Lastly, as I do every month, we do have a development update. Every month, I've been giving the public updates to the progress of the Stillwater Crossing development. As many of you know, the council participated with the school board in a public meeting on March 21 at the elementary gym. There was a nice crowd, and we would like to thank the school board for hosting the event. It was a very positive meeting. About a week later, the school board met and decided to decline to participate in the development through what is known as a 100% TIF. This decision was not surprising, and we would again like to thank them for their consideration. We have a strong working relationship with the board, and will continue to work with them on other issues when the time comes. We understand this was a unique situation, and we respect the board for their consideration. But as I said, this is a unique situation for West Milton. a development which will create jobs, allow for an age in place for our senior citizens, and will fill the market need for new home construction. I have been tasked tonight to announce that the Stillwater Crossings development will be moving forward through the more traditional means of what is known as a non-school TIF, which will overlay the village's community reinvestment area, or is known as a CRA. Now, to help with definitions, a non-school TIF means that the school will receive the full amount due them when an approved property joins the tax rolls. And for definition purposes, a CRA is an abatement program which abates the property taxes of an improved property for a period of time. Once that abatement ends, the improved property will join the tax rolls and the non-school TIF will then kick in, making sure to keep the school whole, while the remaining property tax dollars go toward the debt for the public infrastructure. Again, nothing has changed in the development agreement. The Village of West Milton will not be liable for any of the debt taken on for the public improvements. This will continue to be the responsibility of the developer. This is an exciting time for West Milton for the potential to grow our local tax base, create jobs, improve our residential inventory, and gives council the future opportunity to perhaps revisit the income tax credit and maybe reconsider giving some of the credit back to our taxpayers. Of course, that's a decision that will be coming across after the success of the development.
Yes, sir.
That's all that I have for this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Manager Klein. Any comments from Village Council in reference to the update with the Stillwater crossing? Jason, Dayon, any comments from you in reference to the Stillwater crossing development and?
None at this time.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is old business. Anyone have any old business? Okay, next on the agenda is new business. Any council members have any new business?
Just like to say, I thought it was nice that Lene got to read something other than a 5-page boring document of
Yeah.
budgets or agreements.
Yeah, that was a little more entertaining.
A little more than what I usually read, yes.
I still would have appreciated the 87 feet for the distance, but
Hey, you
know,
can still amend the ordinance.
that was a good year.
I do have something for May. Our garden club will be planting flowers again downtown. We've included a couple more pots this year, and we're gonna have some pots up here at the municipal building. And then also the farmer's market will come again this summer, and we will be having applications up at the front desk probably this month. So if you're interested or have questions, come up, grab a paper. You can call me or Karen. Your number's still on there too, I think. So we're excited about that. Hopefully it's bigger and better this year, and yeah, should be interesting.
And the farmer's market will be starting,
It'll be starting in June, but
Yeah.
maybe the middle of June. I think we started this, did we start the second week of June
Second
last
week of
year?
June, yeah.
So we haven't really talked about the exact date, but that'll be on the,
June to September.
yeah, I think we went through October,
Yeah.
actually.
Last year went through October.
Yeah, so
Are you guys still planning on Saturdays or?
still planning on Saturday mornings, probably. Last year we did 9 to noon. Probably that again this year. I don't know if we're gonna push it back to 1. I don't know. We've kind of had some talk about that, but we'll see. See what everybody wants to do.
Is the application the same as last year?
It is, we just kind of made it a little better, I don't know, put in some more details and
You get-
whatnot.
When you give me a copy of that, we'll
Yeah.
make a copy, but we'll scan it and put it on our website and Facebook page as
Okay,
well.
yep.
And I believe Manager Klein, the park board meets this Wednesday, is that correct? Or is that the 19th? 19th.
Third Wednesday.
Third Wednesday, okay. And that's the same day then that we'll have a 4th of July community meeting. We're trying to get folks together to get a little bit more assistance and help with Mr. Scudmore and his wife with the 4th of July celebration again this year. So if anybody in the community is interested, we'll be meeting at 6:30 on the 19th here in the council chambers, an hour before the park board meeting, to talk about that. And yeah, so 5:30 to 6:30. Yeah. And any update, Ben, on the park equipment, when the playground equipment
We
is?
still have to do another one more small order
Yeah.
of equipment.
I'll be getting with, our designer has asked the survey crew to go out and do the topo for measurements so we can grade everything once it's been pulled out. So that's on order. And we still need to decide on a couple pieces of equipment. The company that we'll order it from would like to come in and install everything at one time instead of doing it
Great.
piecemeal. So we have the shade area for parents, but at the next meeting, we'll just need to decide on a couple other, like benches, and I believe a couple tables. And then that should be enough, and we'll know where we're at budget-wise.
Okay, very good. Sounds great. Thanks for the update. Okay, anything else with new business? All right, seeing none, we'll open the floor to comments by citizens. Any comments by citizens for tonight's meeting?
Hello, I'm Tracy
Hi.
Trim. There are rumors that Troy is already switching things over to start billing for our water, so I was just wondering where we are with that, because I know at a previous meeting it was stated that they might start billing if we can come to an agreement that we get the same rate as Troy residents. So since kind of people that, I don't know, I don't want to say where I heard it, but that people are saying that they're already switching their system over to start billing for us. So where are we in that process?
Now, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Andrew Klein.
We're still, I'm guessing, a few months away yet. It's actually a negotiation between the city of Troy and us to do more than just take over billing. It would actually be taking over the entire system, including the tanks, the water lines, et cetera, that type of thing. We are, right now, Troy is in information gathering, correct? So mostly Ben's office and our finance director's office has been giving them every piece of information that they've been asking for. One of the key pieces was a review of both water towers. They are in poor shape. It's going to be expensive. Ben and myself met with the company that does the Troy water towers. They were tasked to come and do a review. They did review both towers, and they've put a budget together. We just met with him yesterday afternoon, so all of that information now is being sent to Troy. So I think that was the last major piece of information, if I'm not mistaken, was the water towers. So we'll be reaching out to them here in the next week or so to find out when's the next meeting so we can continue on. The whole goal is not for them just to take over the water system. The whole goal is to either keep our rates, well, the whole goal is to lower our rates to where they are eventually. Realistically, there are some expenses that we cannot afford. So my guess is, and I'm only guessing, I really don't know. We won't know until we finally have something to bring. But if you can imagine, our rates are here and their rates are here. So the whole idea is to get to them. It may be over the course of some time until we're with them, but that gap is probably going to be used to improve the water towers. The one water tower is over $500,000 to improve. The other one is
About 400.
about $400,000 to improve. So we're facing some major expenses. They're facing some major expenses. So we're being transparent and telling them everything. So we're probably still a couple months away, I would guess. They're using a consulting firm out of Cincinnati who's really guiding everything. So they're not taking over the billing system anytime soon. It would still be months away. In fact, I wouldn't anticipate it would be in 2017. I would anticipate they would want to start something afresh, but I'm only guessing. I can't speak for Troy.
But we need to make it clear that as of right now, they're still in information gathering stage and nothing is,
Yeah. The
Even
whole goal
close
is
to-
the whole goal is to lower the rates and/or solidify the rates so they don't go up. That's our goal.
thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for the question. Yes, ma'am.
Cindy Howard, and I just like to know how much money's been spent already on the Stillwater Crossing? Planning, engineering, et cetera. How much have we already spent?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but see, we're on the fourth month, so that's $80,000 plus engineering and legal fees. I'm guessing, but probably around $100,000.
Okay.
But that's a guess, please. That's
Yeah, I
not-
just wanted an estimate. Okay, from here on, what exactly, if you have a list or whatever, is the village going to be responsible for monetarily?
We're not, the roads, the water lines, the sewer, everything in regard to the development, we're not going to be responsible for.
Okay, so once your legal fees and engineering's paid for by the village, we will have no more expenses, correct?
No, and the development agreement is written in such a way that when he makes his first borrowing of money, he pays us back exactly what we've paid out. So let's
So we will
assume.
get this $100,000 back?
Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, what we budgeted, I believe, in the budget for this year was $310,000 for the development agreement and for the engineering services and so forth. And to date, we've only roughly, like Manager Klein said, spent a third of that.
Is there a cap on the TIF? Is there a dollar limit that they will not go over? Or is it like a blank check?
Well, it's not written that way. He wants to obviously make it as least expensive as possible. But he also is going to be responsible for all the public infrastructure, so there's going to be whatever the contractors are charging to put everything in. But it's not seen that way as a cap. It's seen in a way that it has to make all that debt payment within a period of time. And if it can't.
What is that period of time? Has that been decided?
That TIF will be a 30-year TIF.
Okay, so if it was to go over what he thinks it'll cost, is it possible that then the payments are gonna be more, correct? Because you have to get it paid off in the 30 years?
Yes. He'll be borrowing money that will be in bonds. The bonds will have a life expectancy. All of the projections that I have seen have projected the bonds to be anywhere between 20 and 28 years. I'm sorry, not 20, 25 to 28 years, approximately. So that's going to be the life of the bond. The expectation would be, you create a 30-year TIF. Just remember, the first year or two, there's no tax dollars coming in, so he's on the hook for all of that money so when he borrows $5 and has to pay $300,000 back, but he hasn't received any tax dollars that year, he has to pay that $300,000 as well for that payment. It's like your house payment. So he is expected to raise enough money, and he has to make that enough money, and if he doesn't, then he's responsible for it. We are not.
Okay, so he's responsible for the debt, but if we don't complete the project, then you're talking about less property tax dollars attached to that property, whatever it may be. So when I'm thinking about a house mortgage, I'm thinking I gotta pay so much a month to pay that off in 30 years. Well, I'm thinking if you don't complete the project 100%, is there gonna be enough tax money coming in to pay that for 30 years? And if not, then what?
That's his risk.
That's his risk, totally. We take none.
Totally his risk. We are not constructing any, when you say we're not constructing
Yeah.
anything. He's constructing it all.
So even if the infrastructure itself, if the tax, property tax money doesn't bring in enough money to pay for the infrastructure itself, like the new water tower, lift station and that, he'll eat it? We
Yes.
won't eat any of it, right?
That's the way the agreement is, well, I'll have the law director
It's
answer.
been a while since I've read the agreement, so. But yes, that's my understanding too, is it's not the village's responsibility.
Okay, so that new water tower and lift station will be commingled with our current system with Troy when the agreement's made?
Yes, it would be theirs. I mean, once it's built and running and operational,
Okay.
that's part of our assets that they would be acquiring. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I can ask a question, that final TIF language has not actually been completed, correct?
No,
Just,
the attorneys are just drafting it now,
right.
and which comes before you as an ordinance.
Okay.
I'm anticipating it'll be ready for your review at the next workshop with a first reading at the next May meeting. I didn't know what month this was.
Thank you.
Manager Klein?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, did you state that he won't borrow the entire amount for the tip all at once? He'll actually borrow like more or less as he needs it to do that piece. So if it was to begin to fail, he wouldn't be in as deep because he wouldn't have, done the furthest points yet.
That's
right?
correct.
That's correct? Okay.
It's, the way I understand it, and I'll know more here in the next few days, because I have meetings with them in regards to the next steps. From my understanding, he'll be doing a first borrow to get the infrastructure built to Randall House, and also the first phase, sorry about my hand, first phase to the residential. So that's like the first borrow.
Okay.
And then those things will be completed while then a second borrow while the commercial is built out, and then probably a third, maybe even a fourth. It all depends on how the market drives this.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from citizens? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Everybody say aye.
Aye.
All right. All
Happy
right.
birthday.
Oh, thank you.
It's your birthday?
Yep.